Hello everyone. Myself, Dr. Madhuri, Assistant Professor of Microbiology from Government Degree College for Women, Begumpet. In the last class, we were dealing with fermentation types. So today we'll be continuing with that part as we could not complete in the previous session. So we were being studying about submerged fermentation. We know very well that submerged means the term itself shows that the ferment in this fermentation, the microorganisms are in submerged condition. Whatever nutrients are there in, they are in submerged condition. It is also called as liquid fermentation. Okay, the first type of fermentation was solid state fermentation. This is liquid type fermentation. Now, fermentation medium containing microbial cells in dispersed state throughout the media. Right. So here, microbes are dispersed throughout the media, and nowadays submerged culture methods are widely used in production of enzymes. More than solid state fermentation, submerged fermentation is being used, and here fermenter is being used, and for this media will be sterilized at 120 degrees centigrade for 1 to 2 hours. Examples are citric acid and penicillin production, and fermenters. They run as batch fermentation, wet batch fermentation, and continuous fermentation. Now coming to batch fermentation. Batch fermentation, it is also called as closed culture system. We have already discussed in the last session. Here, microbial inoculum, fermentation medium, or other components, whatever are required for the fermentation, they will be added at once in the starting of the fermentation process only. In the middle, we won't be adding any contents to the media. They are not replenished once the fermentation starts. So once the fermentation process has started, we cannot add in the middle of the process. Right. The product is recovered at the end of the process following the cleaning and sterilization of the fermenter so that the latter can be used for another batch fermentation process. So this process will start once and end once. In the middle, there won't be any additions or deletions or anything. And in this fermentation, microorganisms grow at a rapid rate in the initial stages in the presence of excess nutrients, but as they multiply in large numbers, they use up the nutrients and secrete toxic metabolites which retard further growth of microorganisms. Here we can understand that we are providing fermentation to the fermentation media for the microorganisms, right? So what is fermentation media? It is nothing but nutrients, right? So when we are adding these microorganisms or inoculum into the fermentation media, the microorganisms try to utilize the media components to the maximum, and the growth rate will be very high in the initial stages of the fermentation. So then what happens after a particular growth, attaining particular growth by the microorganisms, they will start producing some toxic substances, toxic metabolites into the media. They will start secreting some toxic metabolites. So as the growth of the microorganism continues, the secretion of toxic metabolites also will continue, and the concentration of these toxins will increase in the media. So as a result, there will be a decline in the growth of the microorganisms. It means that after a particular period of time in in this type of fermentation, growth stops due to accumulation of the toxins in the media, or another reason is depletion of the nutrients in the media, because in this closed system we are not going to add any nutrients in the middle of the fermentation. So due to depletion of nutrients also, the growth of the microorganisms can decline. Next, phases of growth in batch fermentation. Here, as we have discussed, first there will be initial lag in the increase in the cell number, that is called as lag phase. Then the number gradually increases in exponential phase. Then the number of microorganisms or growth will come to stationary phase. Then it will come to decline phase. In this graph we can see this is the lag phase, this is the log phase or exponential phase, and this is stationary phase and then decline phase. So what is happening here, how we are getting these phases? If we grow the microorganisms or if we carry out the fermentation process, we can take the OD at a particular intervals which by which we can calculate the number of cells, and by putting the number of cells on y-axis and putting the time on x-axis, we can get a graph. Okay, so this graph will be having four phases. One is lag phase, second one is log or exponential phase, third is stationary phase, and fourth one is decline phase. So what is the meaning of each phase here? Lag phase, why the name lag phase? Lag is nothing but, because here we are in this graph, if you can see here at this point we are inoculating the culture into the media. This is inoculation point. So gradually immediate after inoculation there won't be any increase in the number of cells, and here you can see this is not the zero, because inoculum will be having some number of cells. That is why the graph is starting at this point, right? So to some after a particular for a particular period of time the number of cells will be constant, they won't be dividing immediately after inoculation, and then gradually the number of cells will increase. This is log phase. Okay, so let us see in detail about each phase. Here lag phase means it represents a time of adaptation after inoculum, during which the microbial cells prepare for multiplication, synthesizing DNA, various inducible enzymes, and other molecules required for cell division. So, what is happening in lag phase? Because in the graph we have seen the number of cells is not increasing. It means what the cells are doing, whatever cells in the form of inoculum which we have added into the media, these cells first they will prepare themselves for the division. So how they are preparing? First they will try to eat the nutrients whatever we have added, and they try to increase in size, or they will synthesize extra DNA which is required for cell division, or inducible enzymes or other cell material which is required for the multiplication of the cells or cell division, right? So this is the preparatory phase. Lag phase is a preparatory phase. Therefore, during this phase, there may be increase in size, but no increase in cell number. So size can be increased, but is not increasing in lag phase. This phase may last for an hour or more. So how much time it is taking? For about 1 hour, or in some cases it may take more than 1 hour. So during this period, there won't be any increase in the cell number. In commercial processes, the length of lag phase should be reduced as much as possible. When we are going for commercial production, we have to reduce the lag phase, because as time increases in commercial processes, both time and product are more important. So if we can reduce the lag phase, the fermentation process time can be reduced, which can be beneficial commercially. And coming to the next phase, that is log phase. Here log phase means the number of cells will increase in an exponential phase, in exponential manner. Okay, means after the cells have prepared themselves for division in the lag phase, in the by the start of log phase, cells start dividing at a maximum rate. Okay, cells will divide at a maximum rate, and if you can see the graph in this log phase, it is gradually increasing in an exponential manner, in a log manner, right? Means the number is increasing at a very faster rate. The growth in this phase is quite balanced, and since the generation time is constant, logarithmic plot of growth during log phase produce almost a straight line. So as the cells are dividing in a logarithmic fashion, the graph is a straight line which we have seen. This phase is called as log phase, because logarithm of the microbial mass increase linearly with time, and exponential growth phase, because the number of cells increases in an exponential function of 2 to the power of n. So the microbial cells are increasing linearly with time in a logarithmic fashion. So the name log phase, and exponential because the number of cells is increasing in the exponential function of 2 to the power of n. So in industrial fermentation, log phase is a period of peak activity and efficiency. In the whole, what do you say, all four phases, this log phase is the phase where more cells are active metabolically. Next, third phase is stationary phase. Here in this phase, the growth of microbes eventually ceases, means stops. Hence, growth rate declines to zero, but the microbial population remains metabolically active during stationary phase and may synthesize products called secondary metabolites, which are not produced during exponential phase. Here, stationary means the graph is the line in the graph is not increasing. Okay, this phase you can see, this is here line is straight, right? The number of cells is not increasing, number of cells is constant, right? So it means cells have stopped dividing, but what they are doing, they are metabolically active, right? So what they are performing some function in this phase. What is that function? Is synthesizing of secondary metabolites, right? Like enzymes or antibiotics. All these all these are secondary metabolites which are often produced in this stationary phase. So for production of these secondary metabolites, this phase is more important for fermentation. However, the cessation of microbial growth may be due to exhaustion of available nutrients or by accumulation of inhibitory end products. So as we have discussed previously, why the growth has stopped in the stationary phase means it may be due to depletion of the nutrients or accumulation of the toxic end products. Anything can happen. Anything may be the reason for reduced stopping of the cell growth. And the last phase is decline phase or death phase. After a while, the microbial cells start dying and number of dying cells exceeds the number of new born cells, resulting in a decline in the number of viable microbial cells present in the batch fermentation. Okay, so death phase means the graph will come down. Okay, graph is coming down. Why that graph or the number of cells is coming down? Because the number of cells are started dying. That is why the number of cells are decreasing, or viable cells is decreasing. That is why the graph is coming down. The condition represents the death or decline phase, which continues until the population is diminished to a tiny fraction of more resistant cells. It may die out entirely. So they will die completely, leaving very few cells which may be resistant to the conditions which are prevailing in the fermenter. Like exponential growth, that is also exponential, but inverse as the number of viable cells decreases exponentially. So we are saying in the log phase, the cell number is increasing in an exponential phase. Same way in death phase also, the number of cells s- as the here in exponential phase, the number of cells are increasing exponentially. Similarly, in decline phase, the number of cells are decreasing in a exponential manner, but in a reverse order, right? Next, so this we have discussed about batch fermentation. We have understood that batch fermentation is a closed type fermentation. Here, everything will be added at the starting and recovered at the ending. Nothing will be done in the middle of the process. Nothing will be added in the middle of the process. That is why this process is a closed system. Right, we have understood all these points, and we have also understood what are different phases involved in this batch fermentation, like lag phase, log phase, exponential phase, and lag phase, log phase, stationary phase, and decline phase. Right. Now, this batch fermentation are of different types. First one is fed batch fermentation. Now, these are the variations in batch fermentation or types of batch fermentation. Try to now let us understand what is fed batch fermentation. Why this name fed is added to batch fermentation? What is meant by this fed? The process represents when batch fermentation is fed with fresh nutrients in increments without removing the growing microbial cells. Okay, so in this batch fermentation, there is a modification. What is that modification? The fermentation or the fermenter will be fed with fresh nutrients in increments without removing the microbial cells. Means at a particular after a particular time interval, the fresh nutrients will be added to the fermentation medium without removing microbial cells. Any culture is not removed. Fed batch culture allows the nutrient when it needed at the terminal stages of fermentation. That is the production of secondary metabolites. The formation of many secondary metabolites is subject to catabolite repression by higher concentration of glucose, carbohydrates, or nitrogen compounds. So by adding nutrients in fed batch culture, it will be the nutrients will be utilized in the last stages of the fermentation for the production of secondary metabolites. Now, in that stage, fed batch method is used to add a small concentration of nutrients on production phase. So, in some cases, what happens is the whatever product is being produced, it will be subjected to catabolite repression. Okay, the production process will be subjected to catabolite repression. Means due to some compounds the process will be repressed. So in such stages some nutrients will be added, small concentration of nutrients will be added to the medium. By this addition it will achieve higher cell densities than batch fermentation. Okay, so cell densities will increase in this fed batch culture than normal batch fermentation. It is used when high substrate concentration causes growth. Okay, so as we have discussed in fermentations are of different types and microorganisms are different types, so there will be different conditions required for the production of different types of products. So in some cases there can be like the higher concentration of nutrients may trigger higher production of products. So in such cases, this fed batch method will be beneficial. It allows the substrate to be used at low non-toxic levels by feeding. So the substrate, whatever we are adding to the medium, it will be added in a very low concentration. It allows the maximum production of cellular metabolites by the microbes. Here, most of the metabolites production will be maximum. Next is continuous fermentation. In continuous fermentation, so submerged fermentation is of three types. Okay, one is batch fermentation, second one is fed batch fermentation, and the third one is continuous fermentation. Okay, so it is the submerged fermentation which is of three types. One is batch fermentation, second is fed batch fermentation, and the third one is continuous fermentation. Now we have understood batch fermentation, which is the closed culture system, and the second one is fed batch fermentation, which is a small variation from the batch fermentation where the nutrients are added at a particular interval at particular time period in the fermentation process to increase the productivity of the desired products. And the third one is continuous fermentation. In this fermentation, fresh medium is added to the fermenter continuously, accompanied by a corresponding continuous withdrawal of a portion of the medium for the recovery of fermentation products. Here, the name continuous denotes we are adding the medium continuously into the fermenter, and similarly the product will be also recovered continuously from the base of the fermenter. So the process is continuous in nature. Addition is continuous and minus or removal is also, or recovery is also in continuous fashion. So what happens by doing so? It will never reach a stationary phase because the end products do not accumulate to work as a inhibitory growth and nutrients are not completely expended. So we have seen that what is the reason for stationary phase or decline phase? It is the first reason is due to completion of the nutrients. Okay, and the second reason is accumulation of toxic products. So both uh, will be not like both things will not happen in this continuous fermentation because first thing nutrient depletion. Okay, here there won't be nutrient depletion because nutrients are continuously added, and second one is toxic production. toxic metabolites production or accumulation. So this also won't happen because the medium will also is also recovered regularly or a continuous basis, so that whatever toxins are there, they will be removed from the medium continuously. Next is types of continuous fermentation. In this stage, in this continuous fermentation, first one is single stage continuous fermentation, second is recycle continuous fermentation. Coming to the first one, single stage continuous fermentation, a single fermenter is inoculated and then kept in a continuous fashion by balancing the input and output of the fermentation operation medium and harvested microbial cultures respectively. Right, so here what is happening, we are taking a single fermenter, that is why we are calling it as a single stage continuous fermentation. We are taking only single fermenter. In that, input and output is balanced, means whatever media we are adding, that will be balanced with the output, means whatever medium we are removing from the fermenter, input and output. If we are removing 1 ml per minute from the fermenter, we should also add 1 ml medium into the medium. So that in that way, the concentration of the medium components or everything will be balanced in the fermenter. Next is recycle continuous fermentation. First, we have studied single stage continuous fermentation. Second is recycle continuous fermentation. Here, what is happening? A portion of the withdrawn microbial culture or of the residual unused substrate plus the withdrawn microbial culture is recycled to the fermenter to find greater productivity. Okay, so the only difference between single stage continuous fermentation and recycle continuous fermentation is both are continuous in fashion, there is no doubt. Then what is the difference here? In single stage continuous fermenter, we are removing the product also, right? We are removing or recovering the culture or whatever medium, right? So in recycle continuous fermentation, whatever we are removing from the fermenter is recycled into the fermenter again. So what is happening by this, whether the microbial cells, when we are taking out from the fermenter, what we'll get media and we'll get cells, right? What we are adding into the fermenter, only media, right, in a continuous fashion. What we are removing from the media and the cells. So these cells, if we add back, or the media if we add back, unused media and the cells, it is found that the this process of recycling the withdrawn microbial cells and media to the fermenter again, it is increasing the productivity, right? Next is sulfate waste liquor with its low so this is the example for this recycle waste continuous fermentation. Sulfate waste liquor with its low availability of carbohydrate content is an example of such a substrate. In this case, recycling of microbial cells results in higher microbial cell population in the fermenter and hence a great productivity. So here, this substrate, that is sulfite waste liquor, it is having very less carbohydrates in it, and this is not easily degraded, right? So whenever we are recycling the microbial cells, the number of cells in the fermenter is increasing and the production is increasing. Next is, so till now what we have seen, all of them are single stage continuous fermenter, or in other words, we are using only one fermenter which is run in a continuous fashion. Now we are going to study about multiple stage continuous fermentation. Multiple stage means different stages. It employs more than one fermenter and involves two or more stages with the fermenters being operated in sequence. In this multiple stage continuous fermentation, it employs more than one fermenter and involves two or more stages with the fermenters being operated in a sequence. As the name suggests, many fermenters are used here in a series, right? More than one. The fermentation is divided into phases so that a growth phase takes place in the first stage, fermenter followed by synthetic phase in the second stage or succeeding fermenter. Synthesis of the product is not related to the growth of the microbial cells. Okay, so here we are discussing about an example. Okay, in this example we are talking about continuous fermentation process which is having two fermenters connected to each other, right? So in this type of fermentation, in first fermentation tank there will be growth phase occurring, and in the second fermentation tank there will be production phase occurring. Okay, or synthetic phase. Okay, so what happens in growth phase? Cell number will increase, and the same will be moving to the second fermenter, where synthetic phase will take place, where the product production will happen in the second fermenter. Next, control of microbial activity in continuous fermentation. So, how to know what is the status of the microorganisms, what is the status of the media components, and how to control them? There are two approaches to this. One is chemostat, and the other one is turbidostat. So, what is chemostat? Chemostat in this what do you say method? We will be maintaining the concentration of a particular nutrient, key nutrient, at a particular concentration. Okay, so chemostat, chemo means chemical, stat means static. Okay, we are keeping the concentration of a particular chemical at a constant level. That is why we are calling it as a chemostat. So, what is this chemical? This is the key chemical or key nutrient which is required for the production of the particular compound. It will vary from one fermentation to another fermentation. So, for one process, it may be glucose, for another process it may be something else, right? So we have to first identify that key nutrient, and we have to maintain the concentration of that key nutrient at a constant level, so that the production will be carried out at a regular fashion, or there won't be any problem in the continuous culture system. Next is turbidostat. Turbidostat, here if you break the word, turbido means turbidity, stat means static or constant. Okay, we are keeping the turbidity constant. What is turbidity? Turbidity is a parameter which is used to measure the growth of the microbial cells in a fermentation medium. Okay, how you check the growth of the microorganisms? By if you have a broth, it will after inoculation, when during after media preparation, the media will be very clear, right? When you add the inoculum, and when these cells, microbial cells, whatever you are added into the medium, the cells will gradually divide, and they turn the clear medium into turbid. Okay, the medium will become unclear, right? So increase in turbidity, the turbidity will be increasing in this whatever mm, fermentation process, right? So we are trying to keeping the turbidity at a constant level, means in other words, we are trying to keep the cell number at a constant level by checking the turbidity, or keeping the turbidity at a constant level. How to check the turbidity? By using a photoelectric device. In normal, in a lab level also, we will be using calorimeter. So at this fermentation level, we will be using some photoelectric device to which can sense the turbidity in the fermenter, and which can help us in maintaining the turbidity at a constant level. So how this turbidity is maintained? By adding fresh medium to the fermenter, or if the turbidity is more, we'll be adding fresh medium. If the turbidity is less, we'll be adding more microbial cells into the fermenter. So whatever we have to do, we have to maintain the turbidity at a constant level. So by using these two processes, that is chemostat and turbidostat, we can keep the this continuous culture system to run on a regular fashion or a successful manner. Next, chemostat is more stable at low dilution rates, whereas torpedostat operates best at high dilution rates. Okay, this we have to remember. Chemostat, when we want to maintain a chemical at a constant rate, low dilutions are better, and for turbidostat, high dilutions better. So these are the diagrams for chemostat and turbidostat. This is the chemostat and this is the turbidostat. As I told, here chemical will be maintained at a constant rate. Here this is the medium fed into the fermenter, and these are the nutrients in excess except for one limiting nutrient. Only one limiting nutrient will be there, and this is the harvest or recovery of the medium, and this is the surface of the medium. So whatever is there, chemical, a particular key nutrient will be maintained at a constant rate, and this is the turbidostat, right? Turbidity means photoelectric cell will be there. So this is the light. This will be checking the photocell is there. Photocell will check the turbidity, and there will be, it will be controlled by the here there will be a pump which feeds the nutrients or cells into the fermenter. This pump will be controlled by a photocell. Okay, based on the turbidity, it will decide whether to add cells or whether to add medium, right? This is the surface of the medium, and constant volume of harvest will be recovered at the from this place. Next is surface fermentation. We have studied about solid state fermentation, we have studied about batch fermentation, we have studied about continuous fermentation. Now we have to study about surface fermentation. Like, sorry, we have studied about surface solid state, submerged, and we are studying about surface fermentation, right? So batch culture and continuous culture, we these are the types of submerged fermentation, right? Solid state, submerged fermentation. Now the third one is surface fermentation, right? In submerged fermentation, we have studied about batch fermentation, fed batch fermentation, and continuous fermentation. Now we have to study about surface fermentation, right? So the name shows surface, means the microorganisms are grown on the surface layer of the fermentation. Means whatever medium we are using, if the microorganisms are grown at the top or surface of the medium, it is called as surface fermentation. This is also called as stationary mat culture. Means uh, we can understand the fungus may be used or the microorganism whatever we are using here, it will be grown in the form of a mat. Now penicillin was originally produced by surface fermentation before being superseded by submerged fermentation. First penicillin was produced by surface fermentation. We know very well that penicillin is produced by penicillium, right? This is a fungus. So this fungus is made to grow on a surface of a medium, and then submerged fermentation was also used for penicillin production. Next is surface fermentation is still used for industrial production of citric acid by the fungus Aspergillus niger, and for itaconic acid by Aspergillus terreus. In a citric acid production, if you can see in net, we can see that this Aspergillus niger will be grown on the top of the liquid media in the form of a mat. Okay, this fungus will grow in the form of a mat on the surface of the liquid. That is why this process is called as surface fermentation, and this is carried out in a fermentation chamber in which shallow trays made up of metal or glass are arranged in a shells. Here trays are also used, and shallow trays means the depth of the tray will be very less, so that maximum nutrients will be utilized by the growing microorganism, and large number of wet or dry fungal spores are added as inoculum into the media and blown onto its surface, and cultures are incubated at appropriate temperature for several days. Here one thing we have to remember: when an organism can carry out surface fermentation, when this microorganism is not able to disperse into the medium, or when it cannot enter into the medium, when it is able to float on the medium, that type of microorganisms can carry out surface fermentation. So for example, fungal spores, if we when we are adding fungal spores to the medium, they will be floating on the medium, so there only they will germinate and they will produce the fungus. That is why that mat will be produced. Next, after incubation is over, fungus develops as a mycelial mat on the surface of the medium. Fermentation chambers are provided with effective air circulation. If the process is aerobic, the air should be provided adequately into the fermentation chamber, and after the development of the mat, that mat will be removed and the product will be recovered. Next type of fermentation is aerobic fermentation. If the fermentation process requires air for the or the if the microorganism which is being grown in the medium, if it requires air, that is called as aerobic. If it requires oxygen, it is called as aerobic fermentation. Now in some cases, the amount of air needed per hour is 60 times the media volume. So how much air being required? Whatever be the fermentation medium volume is there, 60 times more oxygen is required by the fermentation sometimes. So that much whatever is the requirement is there, that much oxygen must be provided into this fermentation medium. Therefore bioreactors are used for aerobic fermentation, has a provision for adequate supply of sterile air, which is generally sparged into the medium. If you study the fermenter design, there will be a sparger at the base of the fermentation tank. This sparger is this is nothing but a rod will be there, which is having holes, and with this rod, or the air will be supplied into the fermenter, right? From the holes which are present in the rod, the oxygen bubbles or air bubbles will be released into the fermentation medium, that is called as a sparger. In addition, these fermenters may have a mechanism for stirring and mixing of the medium. Now air is released, then it must be uniformly mixed. So for uniform mixing, there will be other devices uh, present in the fermenter. Next, these aerobic fermenters may be either of stir tank, in which mechanical motor driven stirrers are provided, or of airlift type, in which no mechanical stirrers are used, and the agitation is achieved by the air bubbles generated by the air supply. Okay, so one is stir tank. What is happening in stir tank? Mechanical motor will be there. Stirring means mixing, right? The name stir tank is where stirrers are operated mechanically by motors, right? Or second type is airlift type. Here in this airlift type, no mechanical stirrers are used. Mechanical stirrers are not there, and agitation is achieved by the air bubbles generated by the air supply. So air itself, whatever being released, it will um, achieve the mixing of the media. Next, generally these bioreactors are of closed or batch type, but continuous flow reactors are also used. Such reactors provide a continuous source of cells and also suitable for product generation when the product is released into the medium. So what is happening in these bioreactors, whatever we are using, where it can be of closed type or batch fermentation type, or a continuous fermentation type. In both types of fermentation types, this the air supply will be used. Next is anaerobic fermentation. In this anaerobic fermentation means the name itself shows air is not required here, or the microorganism must be grown in under anaerobic conditions, or whatever air is present in the fermenter, that also must be removed, right? First thing is air must not be supplied, and the second one is whatever air is present in the medium already, right, that also must be removed, right? Here in most cases a mixing device is also not necessary, because air is not required here, so mixing is also not required. So first in the starting stages, initial mixing, when we are adding inoculum into the media, initial mixing may be required, but after that mixing is not required in this type of anaerobic fermentation methods. Once the fermentation begins, the gas produced in the process generates sufficient mixing. Here also in anaerobic processes also, if not oxygen, the other gases will be released, so that gases will help in mixing of the media. Air present in the headspace of the fermenter should be replaced by carbon dioxide, hydrogen, nitrogen, or a suitable mixture of this. So, as I said, by default, there will be some air, some oxygen in the headspace of the fermenter. So, that must be replaced with other types of gases. What type of gases we can use here in this anaerobic fermentation, such as carbon dioxide or hydrogen or nitrogen or any mixture, suitable mixture of these gases we can use for the anaerobic fermentation processes. For example, Clostridium is that is an anaerobic organism. Next, the fermentation usually liberates carbon dioxide and hydrogen, which are collected and used. Here, by Clostridium releases carbon dioxide and hydrogen, so we can collect these gases and we can use these gases for other purposes. For example, the carbon dioxide which is collected, it will be used for making dry ice. In case of acetogens and other gas utilizing bacteria, oxygen free sterile carbon dioxide and other gases are bubbled through the media. So some microorganisms will be these anaerobes will be using some gases. So in such cases, um, carbon dioxide will be released into the fermentation medium. Recovery of products from anaerobic fermenters do not require anaerobic condition, but many enzymes are highly oxygen sensitive. When recovery of such enzymes is objective, cell must be harvested under strictly anaerobic conditions. So fermentation or the production process is carried out in a anaerobic conditions, right? So what about recovery? In some cases, recovery does not require anaerobic conditions, but in some cases where products such as enzymes are being synthesized, these enzymes will be more oxygen sensitive in nature. So in such cases, recovery will also be should be done in anaerobic conditions. So with this, we have studied all types of fermentations, aerobic and anaerobic. Under aerobic, we have seen batch fermentation. In this batch fermentation, we have seen, first we have seen solid state fermentation, then we have seen submerged fermentation. In submerged fermentation, we have seen batch fermentation, fed batch fermentation, and continuous fermentation. And then we have seen surface fermentation, and then we have studied about aerobic fermentation and anaerobic fermentation. So we have dealt with all types of fermentations. So with this, we'll be ending this session. Thank you for patience listening.